Tomorrow marks just 3 weeks until Election Day. Let's go back to DeMarco, who's in the battleground state of Wisconsin. Hey there, DeMarco.
Eva, it is good to see you again. Across the state, voters have been concerned on whether or not their votes will be protected and counted come this election. Remember, it was back in July when the Wisconsin Supreme Court reversed a decision that banned the proper use of ballot drop boxes. And now that means that more than 1,800 municipal clerks across the state, they can decide whether or not they want to use them. Here's our very own Deborah Roberts.
George Dreckman and wife Diane are longtime ballot buddies, volunteering to collect voting ballots from drop boxes for years, a routine they enjoy.
We have these security bags that we carry the ballots in.
But in Wisconsin, this routine became marred by controversy after the 2020 election. With the pandemic raging, more than 1 million people in the state opted to vote by absentee ballot then. But when Joe Biden beat President Trump by a slim margin, some questioned the ballot boxes. Even though the 2020 election was reviewed by many courts and found to be fair, doubts remain about sending in ballots through drop boxes.
If it would have been bolted down, that would have been a completely different story.
Recently, Wausau's mayor removed the drop box in front of his city hall, citing concerns it wasn't secure. It was later returned and bolted down. The Wisconsin Department of Justice is now investigating the mayor's actions, but the story went national.
I think ballot boxes have prompted distrust among some voters based on false videos and movies and imagery where they're claiming that hordes of people are depositing tens of thousands of ballots into drop boxes to try to sway the election. And I want to reassure them that that's not the case.
This is one of your drop boxes.
Yes.
Paulina Gutierrez is the new Milwaukee election administrator.
The big question becomes, how secure is it? And it says clearly here that this is under 24-hour video surveillance.
Yes,
so
yes.
A camera here somewhere?
Yeah, so if you look right up there, every box has a camera on it. You can't just put any ballot in here. So when a ballot comes in here, we take it to our operations center and make sure, is it a legitimate ballot? We scan it. Does it connect to a person in the system? And if at any point some of that stuff isn't adding up, it's not going to be counted.
How can voters feel that their vote will count if they put it in a drop box?
Before you get an absentee ballot, an application requires a photo ID. And then when you receive it, you have to have a witness sign. And then you take that ballot and you have options of how you return it to us, again, by the mail, through our early voting centers, or through the drop box.
I went with Paulina to the warehouse where Milwaukee's election materials are stored.
There are drop boxes scattered all over the city. How do people know that it's a legitimate drop box with the Election Commission?
So all of our drop boxes look exactly the same. They've got a sign on there that tells you when they're open and when they're closed.
How do you know that there are no fake ballots in there, that you don't have anything to slip through?
There's 24-hour surveillance in that room. We've hardened our security.
Is it disheartening to you to hear people having doubts about election workers like yourself?
Yeah, it can be. I think about like my history. My parents were immigrants. My mom became a citizen when I was an adult, and she really instilled in me about having a voice, that this is an amazing country with so many options. And so when I look at my dedicated public service workers, I mean, it's the most diverse office I've ever worked in terms of culture, identity, generation. And
from both sides of the aisle?
From both sides of the aisle. But I guess what I ask of my fellow man is that if you are concerned, give us a call, and we are happy to share how the process works, and we have nothing to hide.
Wisconsin's a battleground state. Yeah. All eyes are going to not only be on this state, but on you. Yeah. Are you ready for that kind of scrutiny?
I have to be, right? It's part of my service to my country, service to my state and the residents of Milwaukee. And I will do my best to lead all of our public poll workers and train them and make sure they're ready to answer that call. And so I have to be ready, and I will be ready.
And our many thanks to Deborah Roberts for that report. And by the way, we reached out to the mayor of Wausau, and he said he has no regrets moving that drop box. But election officials here in Wisconsin say, don't worry, they will protect your vote and your votes will be counted. But you might have to wait until November 6th, because that's when those results may start pouring in and be official.